Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So our parsha is Lech Lecha. I'm going to say some words about it, and then we will chant a little of it, and we'll also have the English as well. Shabbat Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha is often translated as go forth. It can also mean go into yourself or go for yourself, be for yourself. In our last parsha, Abraham is commanded by God to leave his father's home and to spread the word of the one true God at a time when idol worship prevailed. He shattered the idols that his father sold, and then he ventured forth to embark upon a journey that led to the creation of an entire people, ultimately us. And the promise that would be that we would be a light unto the nations and as numerous as the stars, which was kind of hard for him to believe because he had no children at that time. It's important to note in this parsha he is promised that he will have a child, but he ends up fathering two, and both of them would be the head of a great nation. At first, he is given the maidservant and of his wife Sarah, Hagar, and she gives birth to Ishmael. And Ishmael happens to be there are cousins in the Middle East. Okay, so this lineage of family goes all the way back to the beginning. And the trials and tribulations and the jealousies and the resentments and all of the chaos goes all the way back to the beginning. And we still have it today. So it is up to us to, in a sense, shatter the idols that keep us trapped in that cycle of divisiveness. Some say that the journey that Abraham took was not only a physical one, but it was actually an internal one, representing the journey that one can take to oneself and ultimate becoming. The journey of self-discovery and revelation that is possible when we are willing to go forth or to go inside to discover the divine. Both, whether physical or spiritual, describe Abraham's process and can be related to our own journey at this time, which is what I always do. I take whatever is in the Torah and I make it relevant for us and our journey at this time. If you want more traditional text and study, you can tune in on Thursdays to Mark's Torah study online. With all of the emails and the text that I've gotten over the last few days since the election, actually, this is what we're going to focus on. And I don't do politics up here, you know that, and I do not take sides. It's important to at least acknowledge that we, all of us, are at a crossroads, at a turning point in our lives, both individually and collectively as a country. God continually pushes everyone in our Torah towards some type of destiny, some type of evolution, which involves a certain amount of risk, fortitude, perseverance against all odds, no matter what, and most importantly, faith. Faith in the Almighty, faith in the all-powerful God, who will carry us through, whether we realize it or not, and that the challenges set before us are exactly what we are meant to handle to get us to the next level in our soul's evolution, even if we don't think so. Even if we're angry about what we see going on in our lives, in ourselves, in our worlds, they are there for us to learn those lessons and go forward. We learn our lessons in relationship. If we are alone, we cannot do that. A relationship with each other and even our relationship with God. And there are many moments in life when we can be very angry at God. I know I've had my moments. Raise your hand if you've ever had your moments, or just say, yeah, we have our moments. So we are meant to cry out and engage in that struggle, in that process, because God loves becoming. So how does this all relate to what we have going on now? Some people are scared. Some are very uncertain about what the future may hold, and they are apprehensive, and some are even angry, and they're so confused, and I'm getting a lot of texts and emails and phone calls. While others, on the other hand, they're jubilant, They are confident in their choice, and they are looking forward to the future with hope because they think the right thing has happened and America is going to go forward with goodness and light. So how do we reconcile the two? How do we come back together? Like the two halves of a mitzvah heart, how do we come back together? How do we all go forward as Americans with hope in a future that is filled with promise? Abraham smashed the idols in his father's house to obliterate past behaviors, outworn superstitions, outworn ideals. However, some were actually extremely comfortable and very easy to cling to. Even the Israelites at some point in their journey, when they left Egypt, they wanted to go back to what they knew. What happened? They built that golden calf. At times they struggled. They didn't want the manna. They wanted meat. They wanted what they were comfortable with, even though they remembered that they were in a very bad way. So sometimes staying with abuse is easier than leaving it, but then once you leave it, you have to stick to that path, and it's sometimes very difficult. And so we all have to look at our journey and figure out, how do we go forward together, mixing the good and the bad, forgiving, and creating something new. Because out of that can come something better. That is how we reconcile the two. That is how we go forward with promise. Now, the question here is, what are we all going to let go of in order to go forth? I ran my sermon by several people, had to rewrite it multiple times because several Republicans were actually insulted by what I wrote. And several Democrats thought I was actually being too negative, which, am I ever negative? But the reality is that this is a tricky time. And we really have to figure out, let's take the good, let's take what's working, and maybe let's be honest about what isn't working and figure out how to fix it. And sometimes we don't have a choice, whether we like it or not. As our prayer book states, as we read, God disturbs us from complacency. Why? Because God loves becoming. God forces us to Lech Lecha and go forth. Well, maybe that's exactly what's happening now. We are not necessarily complacent by any means, but none of us truly knows what lies ahead. We are all in this boat together, a boat that we just had Noah's portion, the ark. How are we going to go forward and create a new world? We are venturing into new territory. I actually said we have a new world order, and then I had to take it out because that's what Putin said. The whole world is watching us. Make no mistake. Also, make no mistake that the people have spoken and that change is coming, whether we like it or not. We are all being catapulted into a new era where everyone on both sides of the aisle are going to need to work together. Yad b'yad, hand in hand, b'yachad, together. The level to which we all lech lecha and go forth is going to depend on how much we can actually do this. Great change often depends on great compromise and a clear understanding of what is necessary to achieve the goal desired. This is true in everything. We must all lech lecha. We must go in, to go forth for ourselves, to go deep within ourselves individually and collectively, to figure out what idols or ideals are we willing to let go of that are not serving us in order to persevere. Everyone needs to do this. Abraham confronted many individuals on his journey, just like Noah before him. They weren't willing to do what was necessary to go forth with blessing. And our parsha says, you can go forth with blessing or you can go forth with curse. We have a choice. God has given us free will. It is up to us to choose to not be stuck in the past and go forward. And that is even what a memorial is about, and the 1 year, knowing that in order to carry our loved one forward, we have to let go. Just like we had to let go that they're gone and moved into the heavenly realm, we have to let go to go forward and carry them with us. All of us, that Lech Lecha moment. Abraham committed himself totally to his mission. He came to terms with his reality. He obliterated everything that he had known in pursuit of the one true God and the importance that he had been given this task of spreading that word. He committed himself totally to go out and get as many people as he could to believe. This is not unlike what we have just been through as a nation. Abraham's mission was to get as many people as possible to believe not only in him, but in something that was unseen to the naked eye. Later on, Moses has the same journey. He has the same command. He has the same quest, getting people to believe in something seemingly not concrete, the one true God. On the surface, it may have seemed impossible. And it's hard to believe in something that you don't necessarily see and have faith. In order to Lecha toward a new destiny, one is actually required to have the willingness to accept the task at hand and accept the inevitability that change is necessary and unavoidable. And that change that comes is potentially better, but we have to be willing to ride the wave. Our history as a Jewish people has proved, look back, that we could only forge a new future by facing our past, looking back, accepting our reality, looking ahead. Think of the Michalocha, Pharaoh and the chariots behind us, sea that has not parted yet in front of us, and being willing to shift in order to adapt and to grow. We went forward with faith into that water, and the sea parted, and we went forth towards our destiny. So sometimes that which seems absolutely cataclysmic is actually can be transformative. Time and again we see countries ravaged by war. They go on to become great superpowers after they have been rebuilt. There are moments in our lives when rebuilding is necessary to go forward. Who's ever experienced that? This happens. We have to remember that and hang on to it. We just had Parsha Noach. As I've said, it's not an accident that God wipes us out, only to give us the tools and the capacity to rebuild again. And then go forward together, b'yachad. So maybe this is exactly where we are all at, not just in our country, but in our world as a whole. Now it's our turn as one collective humanity, not just the United States of America, to begin again, to rebuild, to create something new. New beginnings can be scary, change can be scary, but sometimes we do not have a choice. We just have to pick ourselves up, carry on, lech lecha inward, lech lecha outward, to the next chapter in our journey that hopefully is filled with both promise and blessing. Once the idols are smashed, there's no choice but to go forward, choosing to have faith in that which is unseen, choosing to have faith that there is a greater path and a future filled with divine promise, a future filled with blessing and not curse. So let us continue to do what we do, show up for what we believe is truth, Emet, and go on. Let us gather and work together, all of us, as Americans, as humans, to lech lecha forward and create something new that is filled with blessing. May the journey not be more than we can handle, individually, collectively, and as Americans, united together. And may the forces of good guide us. May we have faith that God, he or she, knows what he or she is doing, even if it means we don't understand, but we'll go through the process. And even if it means getting out of our own way to break through and lech lecha to the promise and the blessing. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.